Hey everyone, it's Armor Gaming. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to Monster Legends. So I am recording this video before the release of the Dark Colosal Rune event because I want to make sure you guys know who to go for before all of the monster combinations get released. So, what is the Dark Colosal Rune event? It is basically a 24-hour period where you can essentially breed any single dark legendary monster, with the exception of a few. Warmaster Necromancer will not be breedable, and the Forsaken monsters will not be breedable. So other than that, everyone is fair game. Yes, you can breed the VIP monster, Nox the Condemned. Yes, you can breed the Nemesis monster, Samael the Fever Scatterer, the Plague Carrier, and Disease Spreader. So all of those monsters are fair game, which is amazing. So we're going to be going over my thoughts on which monsters are worth getting. We're going to be going over which monsters I don't think are worth investing in, especially right now in an era of mythic monsters. So once again, this is a 24-hour period where you have a chance to breed the dark legendary monsters. So we'll start things off with some OG monsters, Nabotas and Dark Skull. Those monsters are permanently breedable. If they have this heart right here on the top, they are permanently breedable, so obviously don't go for them. And I mean, I'll save you guys the trouble. The first two slots, you don't need to go for any of these monsters, really. These first two rows, no one is worth it. I will say though, it's sad, like, I love Barbato's design. Part of me wants to get him just for nostalgic reasons, but in terms of usability and everything, he is not worth it. But man, you guys should have seen it back in the day. This monster had a double damage skill, and a skill called Master of Pain, which is like 90 damage at the expense of he hurts himself. That skill would drain 30% of his life, but it was spammable, and it was 90 damage single based attack. So powerful. On top of that, he has a skill called Hellfire, which was a special based AoE burn skill. And again, with that double damage buff, oof. And there was a time when you could stack, or actually, you could probably still stack the 50% damage buff, and then double damage buff, and then Hellfire. Oh, Barbatos was awesome. Then he had like a life regen skill as well. So yeah, I mean, no one's worth it, but I felt the need to talk about Barbatos. And you know what? Because as much as this video is about like going over which monsters I think are worth it, I think it's a good time for like a trip down memory lane. Master Skill was one of my first dark monsters. If you see some of my original PvP battles, I love that monster. 2 random effects to the enemy. Oh, that was so nice. Krampus, in came a fast AoE freeze denier, dark denier. That was, at the time, that was amazing, because if you look at the other deniers, they had possession. So Krampus was a nice surprise with his AoE freeze and being super fast. I really like Will Racer Face. He's actually breedable now. We have Lotan. Mommy was interesting. Had a default skill that was powerful, like 60 damage or something. I think it was a mistake. Had AoE stun, had possession abilities. Let's keep scrolling down. Still, no one is worth it. Harusami was actually the first time Social Point did a community design your own monster, like a drawing contest. Harusami is actually the monster that won, so this is actually a player created monster. Let's see what else. Oh, we have OP Heyman, everyone. Definitely go for Heyman. Get him to rank 5. You need 5 stars on that monster, 100%. Alright, let's see. Nox the Condemned again. Nox the Condemned, this is where I could recommend this monster just for collection purposes. He is a VIP monster. If you weren't around back in the game, the only way to get VIP monsters would be to actually purchase them for $20. That was the only way to get a VIP monster. And when they were released, they were on a whole league of their own thanks to this Bullrug trait. All status effects have a 50% less accuracy against all monsters of this unique cast. So denying them was difficult because it was a hit or miss. You might deny them, you might not. You might land a torture, you might not. You may blind them, you may not. So yeah, that's Nox the Condemned. On this monster in particular, he's pretty interesting actually. He has a skill called Total Obliteration. He's one of the few, if not the only one that comes to mind. You guys can let me know in the comments below who's someone else. But this monster has a skill called Total Obliteration in which he literally attacks his own team and the enemy team in one attack. He has a skill where he kills an ally and he gains a buff. And then imagine doing the Total Obliteration, you can eliminate the enemy monster. He has another skill called Deadly Rip that has like a 2% chance to kill the enemy monsters. So I like the Nox the Condemned a lot. If you run him with remntar, Warmaster Remntar, when you have Warmaster Remntar, you cannot take damage from special based attacks. So you're pretty much free to use Total Obliteration, not damage your team, and only severely damage the enemy. It is like the most powerful AoE skill probably in the game. So Nox the Condemned, everyone. For collection purposes, that's the only reason I would recommend breeding them. Moving on, we have Balthasar, one of the first team race monsters, and not a very good one at that. That's the only reason I have him ranked 3. Unfortunately, not that good of a monster. High Mask. I feel like High Mask introduced evasion to the game. I might be wrong, but I remember he had like a 2-turn evasion skill. That was pretty cool. Jazzastar was awesome. He still is pretty awesome for a legendary monster, but can't really recommend him. Krugbo. This might have been the start of the Titan invasion in Monster Legends with Krugbo. He actually had a different name before. His name escapes me right now. Or was that Isofex? It might have been Isofex. Krugbo, Isofex. I don't know. Maybe I'm mistaken the two, but was he a Titan monster? I'm pretty sure he was a Titan monster. Maybe not. Maybe it was Isofex. Alright, so now we start into Sammy. Samael the Plague Carrier, the Fever Scatter, and Disease Spreader. So, Disease Spreader is the original one. Alright, and then Fever Scatter is the one with light attacks, and then Plague Carrier is the one with metal attacks. In my personal opinion, Plague Carrier is the superior Samael. Some players would say Fever Scatter. If you have Fever Scatter, he's more of an attacker. He has a turn transfer skill that gives double damage, and then he has a lot of strong light-based attacks. As you can see, I do not have Fever Scatter, so I'm actually going to be going for him. I'm also going to be going for Samael the Disease Spreader just to complete my collection. I have 75 salves for them, but I never actually was able to fully get them. Now, Samael the Plague Carrier, this is the one I actually purchased, and this monster, when he was released, he's meta changing. He broke the game. When he released, it's one of those monsters that it's like, how are you allowed to exist? And he was a must-have. He had a skill called Samael Warrior. He still has a skill called Samael Warrior, which is a turn transfer skill that requires no stamina, and it basically gives a monster an extra turn, a 50% damage buff. It's crazy. So back then, when a General Thetis can go before you and just stamina drain you, and you couldn't do anything about it, Samael the Plague Carrier came in and he's like, nope, I'm gonna turn transfer and give you all your stamina back. Oh yeah, Samael Warrior gives stamina back as well. So, I mean, that's why I love Sammy. On top of that, he has a resurrection skill. On top of that, he has an amazing life regen skill. He is just on a whole class of his own back in the day. I mean, nowadays, you never see this monster. But back in the day, you would always see this monster. Moving on, another team-based monster, the Undertaker. He introduced this Gravedigger. He's actually the only monster that has the Gravedigger trait, which is basically like immune to corruption, essentially. Yeah, immune to possession, corruption, and nightmares. Let's see, we have Keathor, Montag Creature. Martin McBlood I like a lot. This is a Back to the Future reference. I don't know, I like him. He has a strong attack, evasion, abomination trait. But with that being said, cannot recommend, still cannot recommend. Dusk Aura counts as flawless. This monster is interesting. She has a double possession skill, so that's pretty cool, but cannot recommend. Let's see, Soul Hugger. The one elite monster that I do not think is deserving of being elite. Gives immunity to freeze. I didn't know that. Status caster dodge area. I did not know that as well. Oh wait, I'm like, that is not... What the heck? Okay, Soul Hugger. Abomination and Resurrection block. Yeah, I can't recommend it. I don't know. I never liked this monster. Not a huge fan of him. War Spells is interesting, but cannot recommend. And oh my gosh, we reached the end. Did I recommend anyone except for Sammy? I don't think so, huh? Oh my gosh. Alright, so then it comes to the end. And just like with all the other elements pretty much, this is where I can actually make some recommendations. So first and foremost, Nazael is a Forsaken monster, so this monster is not going to be readable. So then it pretty much comes down to this row right here. Dunraw. Dunraw introduced Megatons. This monster changed the meta. When Megatons became a thing, you were able to beat players who were faster than you because, for example, they have a Zyra and the Ruby. Dunraw would absorb the attacks. You partner up Elvira and Dunraw, now you have a monster with Megaton that absorbs all of the attacks and has evasion as well, so the enemy would have to remove positive effects if they wanted to get to the other monsters. So Dunraw is changed the meta, starts the game off with Megatons, and for that reason this monster is super valuable. I do not have this monster on my baby account, and if I have the combinations, I'm gonna be 100% sure to get my Dunraw because I need a monster that can do Megatons. Even in the world of mythic monsters, I would say, at least at the time recording this video, having a monster that starts the game off with Megatons is super valuable. Because right now, Megaton monsters can OTK you. So if you don't have dodge area, and you face an enemy Armor Claw, we'll just say, and Armor Claw does save Rossi God, your whole team is going to get obliterated. So, I know this sucks, but it's better you have a Megaton monster that monster absorbs all of the attack from the enemy mythic monster and your one monster dies as opposed to your whole entire team dies. So basically right now, as of the time recording this video, the Megaton monsters, they're basically a giant meat shield. So I 100% recommend getting Dunraw. Plus it's an elite monster, so you know you want to complete your collection of elite monsters. But 100% I recommend Dunraw. Then we have Halgudin. I also actually recommend Helguden, and I feel like Social Point gives a lot of opportunities to rank up Helguden. I feel like we've seen like mini progressives and maybe a mini maze. No, probably just a progressive. But aside from that, the Magic Stones Island is a constantly reoccurring event where you can get like 70 cells at a time. So Helguden, the reason I recommend this monster is because it is a dodge area monster. And fortunately, dodge area is still very prominent in the meta. Now, obviously, I would recommend like a Wormlad or another dodge area monster over Helguden if you wanted to partner it up with your mythic monsters. But the good thing about Helguden is that this is a powerful attacker that can hold 2 sword relics. So if you have Nishid Sword activates when the enemies have nightmares on them. You can actually use Helguden and do like an AoE skill, and Helguden has a AoE nightmare skill. So you can attack the enemy and activate Nishid Sword and then drain enemy stamina. So this monster can be a strong attacker, at the same time drain the enemy stamina. You have a skill that makes the enemy weak to dark attacks, so you can make a single enemy monster weak to dark attacks and then blast them with a powerful attack, dark based attack. So I really like Helguden, and if you partner this monster up with any of the taunt mythic monsters, whether it be Armor Claw, Erder, there's a few more, there's like 2 more, but their name escapes me right now, or there might be 1 more. Armor Claw, Erder, Unspeakable. I think those 3 actually have the taunt trait, and then like Cawthor applies taunts. But Erder, Armor Claw, and Unspeakable, if you partner them up with a Megataunt monster, before the enemy can get to your Megataunt, sorry, not Megataunt, with your dodge area monster, they're gonna have to kill your mythic monster. So Helguden can basically be there just attacking the enemy until your mythic monster dies. So if you have a team of mythic monster taunt, let's say Armor Claw, Helguden, and a resurrection monster, anytime Armor Claw dies, you can bring back Armor Claw, and Armor Claw is back to absorbing single target attacks. Helguden can be targeted thanks to your Armor Claw, and anytime the enemy does an AoE skill, hey, your Helguden is safe. So you can do like Helguden, Wormlad, Armor Claw. That would be a vicious, powerful team. So yeah, Helguden I could still recommend because of the dodge area. Now, Piersight is a monster I like. Piersight is super powerful. Piersight has cooldown activation, has death countdown. Amazing monster. Unfortunately though, all you have is Abomination and True Vision. And in the meta right now, honestly, cooldown activation does nothing to mythic monsters. This is why I wasn't a big fan of Gaidigo. Gaidigo is a mythic monster that does cooldown activation. I'm sorry, like, it really does nothing. You can do cooldown activation against a Cawthor, you're gonna get killed. He has a 0 cooldown, 0 stamina skill. You do cooldown activation against Armor Claw, he's gonna hit you with Remember to Subscribe and you're gonna get killed. You can do it on literally any mythic monster. They all have powerful 0 cooldown skills. So unfortunately, I don't recommend Piersight. That being said, I'm still gonna get Piersight because if we're only talking legendary monsters, it is one of the better legendary monsters. But in the world of mythic monsters, I'm sorry, it's just not that good. Dr. Marihausen, I cannot recommend this monster, unfortunately. Zorgon, I cannot recommend this monster. I thought this monster was a Forsaken. Is this monster not a Forsaken? Regardless, I cannot recommend this monster. It's a reskinned, some magic monster. The name escapes me right now, but Shade Moon. Can't recommend Zorgon. Actually, I forgot if he was good or not. I don't think. Oh, he has Status Caster Dodge Area and Immune to Possession, but I don't. I remember not being able to recommend this monster. I think. Yeah, Helguden and Dunraw are the way to go. Then we have Zenobia. The cool thing about Zenobia is that at rank... Oh, I thought this monster had Pierce traits. So no, I guess you have Pierce skills. The cool thing about Pierce is that Pierce can bypass Taunt, Mega Taunt, anything. So that's the advantage of Zenobia. But that being said, I can't recommend Zenobia when there are Helguden and Dunraw on the line. So I would say Dunraw and Helguden. And realistically, who knows how long... Like, if we ever see a Pierce mythic monster, then the dodge area monsters are going to be dead. And, like, the Megaton monsters are to an extent going to be dead. But I think right now, Dunraw probably will give you the most value. Just because, again, you're using it as a giant meat shield. And then Helguden could still give you value to be used as an attacker that can potentially stamina drain with Nishin Sword. But yeah, like, looking through all the monsters, yeah, unfortunately, I can't really recommend much other than these 2 monsters over here on the left-hand side. And then, of course, Sammy. I'd probably say, like, Nemesis is your best option here. Get Fever Scatter, get Plague Carrier. The reason you want to get these monsters is because you want to be able to complete Nemesis Revival Dungeon. If you can get a Plague Carrier, rank them up a bit, and then beat Nemesis Revival Dungeon, you're going to find yourself with a ton of orbs. You're going to find yourself with a ton of gems and a diamond relic every time Soldier Point does Nemesis Survival Dungeon. Hopefully they never stop doing those. So I would say invest in the Nemesis monsters. More than anything, that's probably the best value out of everything. So, with that being said, I think that's going to be it as far as my suggestions. Do we have any quest monsters here? How come I'm not seeing any quest monsters? Any quest monsters at all? I don't know. There should be an icon for quest monsters, no? Oh, you know what? I don't think quest monsters have an icon. But yeah, regardless, that is going to be it as far as my analysis on the Dark El Colossal Breeding event. Best of luck to all of you. Let me know in the comments below, who are you going to be going for? And again, best of luck to all of you. Don't go too gem crazy. Don't spend too many gems. Because keep in mind, there's more events going on. Most likely, there's going to be a race going on. I'm recording this video very early on. But if the formula is correct, there's going to be a team race right after this. So don't go gem crazy, but get yourself your Nemesis. With that being said, I'm Armor Gaming. Thank you all for watching, and remember to subscribe.